Brian Noble, you must be pleased that Bradford have navigated some very difficult playing conditions to be in the next round of the draw.
Yeah, that's a great reflection. The conditions weren't great. It was cold, wet, windy. Reminds me of the old northern days. I thought we started summer rugby, but clearly at the end of January you have to play in all sorts of conditions, and we were ready to do that.
Are you pleased with how?
Very pleased.
You felt the same.
Yeah, the game got a little bit scruffy in parts, didn't it? And Doncaster are a good team. Just look at their roster. You know, they're going to be a threat this year. But I thought in the main age, in and around the halves, and I thought in and around the effort areas, we were just a bit better than them.
How important was that quick, fast start? James Donaldson going over after 90 seconds.
Well, it's always handy. You know, a good start's always good. And over the years, it's always important that you start games well and you get into the game. And we were into the game, and I thought some of our willingness to play early on in the game probably cost us, field position. But we were chancing our arm, which we want them to do. But in these conditions, you soon get down to fundamentals and basics, which I think we did better than Doncaster as well in the end.
There was a period after James scored where there were a couple of errors and penalties, Brian, which ultimately invited Doncaster in, and they were rewarded with their try.
Yeah, and that's what try itself we were disappointed with. But that's absolutely a fair reflection. We didn't help ourselves early on there. But we learned some lessons, and I can't get over how pleased I am about some of the things that we are doing. You know, the effort areas and the way that we played in these conditions. You know, sometimes you have to play that way.
Obviously, that try, what Greg Burns has scored out of dummy half, it looked soft, felt soft. Do you think when that's happened, you've kind of see that reaffirmment from the side that they're going to muscle up in defence? Because effectively for the remainder of the game, Doncaster didn't look like having any opportunity to breach the Bradford line.
Well, we'd be disappointed when we look at that as a team, but it's a bit harsh at this time of the year to call it people being soft and a soft effort. I just think it's a disappointing effort, but that's not the major focus. We've scored 30 points in terrible conditions and played well in the main. There's a heck of a lot of things we can do better for ourselves, but we've got to be pleased with that today. It's our first competitive 80 minutes. It's the first time some people have gone there close to 80 minutes, so we're still very much a pre-season kind of concept at the moment. But I'm really, really pleased, and the players should be pleased because they had to dig deep. There's a lot of people shivering in the changing rooms, which is a reflection of how cold it was actually out there.
Those 3 goal line dropouts forced via the boot of Meadows and Keys. How important were those for you, Brian?
Always. You know, it's as much about field position as rugby league in these kind of conditions as it is about up me, round me, off me on the fringe and looking flash. We started trying to look flash, and I think they changed their mentality, understanding the type of game they were in. And I want to give full respect to Doncaster. They challenged us in certain areas. But I thought in the major areas we were slightly better.
There was one goal line dropout where it looked like Doncaster were going to be up to their own 10 metre line, but that red, amber and black defence forced them back over the dead ball line. You must be delighted with that energy, that enthusiasm, that commitment on display.
I'm delighted that they're keeping in their heads the fact that you've got to defend well in any competition, wherever you play. You know, somebody once asked me what you're going to do when the opposition got the ball, so what else is there to do but defend? So you might as well do it as well as you can. And they're absolutely turning up in spades and understand some of the commitments we've made with each other to do that. But I thought, you know, to score 30 points in these conditions was a bonus too.
How important was that interchange, and when you Franklin Pellis, Rowan Michaels are coming on, certainly seem to give you that big lift before half time?
It's handy, yeah. We've got people that haven't played today that can keep giving us. Important that our bench recognises that they're there to give us a lift. They're not there to make numbers up. They're there to either change a game or keep a game going or make an impact. So it's very much an 80-minute game, and we've got to get the right balance as to who's on and who's off. I think we did that in the main well. I thought we organised our interchange really well. And yeah, I think it's no secret we've got a good team, but we go on next week to Dewsbury, and then the week after the rewards for today is we get a Super League team in Castleford.
You thought on Ronan Michael?
I like him. I've got thoughts about all the rest of them as well. I like them too.
But in
I like them
particular,
all.
his
His performance.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael, I was trying to be a bit naughty there.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, I thought he went real well. Yeah, but the competition within the squad is they've got to keep going real well. You know, I'm not a big believer in projections. Other people can do that, the media can do that. Maybe some of our people within the club might do that, but on the football side of things, it's about next week's challenge and a commitment to improvement, and we've got that. And if we can keep that, and we can keep everybody happy, then I'm confident we'll have a good crack at most things this year.
In the second half, Brian, Doncaster, I think, had 6 consecutive sets on the Bradford line. You must be delighted with that. And I think that was reflected by one of the largest cheers of the afternoon from the home supporters, cheering when that error. I think Craig Hall gave a penalty away, putting pressure on Tom Holmes.
Yeah, I'm delighted with it, but it's just, you know, we're at the start of something, and it's about reinforcement of all those principles. We've got internal goals that we'd like to keep, and we kept them today. So yeah, it's a good observation. I was thrilled with six defensive sets on your own line. It's a pretty big effort any time of the year, and to do it against a good team, because I think Doncaster are going to be up there with the challenges this year, is even more refreshing.
And certainly, as you've already highlighted and alluded, late on the game got very sort of grubby, niggly, errors, penalties. But how pleased are you that, you know, you managed to sort of finish with that flourish with those 2 late tries?
Yeah, I was pleased, but it generally is about getting down to the other end of the field, and that might sound a simple statement, but you've got to kick the ball well to do that. I thought Joe Key's kicking game, particularly in the first half, was exceptional. And you know, Jordan Lilly scores from a kick. So when the conditions are not so good, it's about those effort areas. It's about how well you chase kicks. It's about how well you kick the ball and can back that effort up, and then believing in your own defensive systems to get the ball back from those efforts as well. And we maintained that throughout the game. I thought, you know, the game did get scruffy. We dropped the ball a few times, and they dropped the ball, and then people miskick things. But I'm not being funny. Have a look at the weather. You're not going to see Harlem Globetrotters in this kind of weather. You've got to do the tough stuff and roll your sleeves up.
Totally different game to last week, Brian, but you must be really pleased and infused with the fitness levels of the side to keep that going in real tough adverse weather for 80 minutes.
Yeah, and my other reflection is the first time people have gone longer for minutes. So yeah, I'm pleased, but that was the intention. McGreeny is really, we were both strong on that one, that we need him to be a bit fitter with his pre-season, but I still consider us to be in that kind of phase, so there won't be any let up in training. You know, we need to recognise when to put the foot on the gas and when not to.
You went with the same 13 that started against Huddersfield. Was that a reward after what you've obviously watched back from that performance last week?
Yeah, that's a reflection of how well they went at the start of the game against Huddersfield. The challenge today was to go against another good team with halves. Doncaster had halves that were used to playing in the halves. I think Huddersfield didn't have that facility last week, so we knew we were going to be challenged on the kicking side of things, and we needed to respond to that, and I think we did.
Looked like everybody come through unscathed, which is another tick in the box, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've got some small flesh injuries, not so much damage, so there'll be a mobile army surgical hospital tomorrow, a mass unit tomorrow, but I'm pretty confident everybody's come through it, and Guy Armitage is a week nearer to playing, so we've got healthy competition within the group.
Just on this result, Brian, it does set up that really exciting tie, a Super League team coming towards Hull Castleford Tigers. Clearly, you know, the excitement amongst the club's fan base is going to be at fever pitch now.
I hope so, yeah.
It's certainly going to be an interesting 2 weeks now for you.
Well, an exciting 2 weeks. That's the way we'll approach it. We'll start looking at some pictures of Castleford, and we'll get ourselves together a plan of attack, if that's the right expression. But they'll be doing the same thing. We've got a small Dewsbury game to play where we'll have some first team squad players playing in that for sure. And so everybody should be fit, healthy, and wanting to play in that game. I'd want to play in that game. You're quite right. Let's hope it's a bit warmer and a bit drier. But I'm sure Castleford are looking forward to that. But it's another type of team and type of fixture this club wants.
When you look back to sort of like the last big cup tie here was 2019 when Leeds came, you know, over 10,000 day, Brian, and we all know what John Keir and the Bradford Bulls did that afternoon. Do you see similarities between that, the occasion, big crowd, potentially on national TV, and, you know, putting Bradford Bulls firmly in the limelight?
I'm going to say no, only because this is about this team and now, and maybe the journey after 2019 has been one of progression to get back somewhere close to where we want to be. I just think it's a good team, a Super League team coming to Odsal, so we should rejoice in that and try and get the stadium as full as we possibly can. I think that's the attraction of it. I think we'll need to be at our very best to compete with them.
And just on that game next week, Brian, are you perhaps going to hold some of those first team players back from that who you probably would be wanting to play against Castleford? Or
well, we'll have a look at it. We'll have a look at it back end of the week. We'll have a roster tomorrow. Roll call, see who's where, who's doing what, see who needs game time, who doesn't. But it'll be a strong team that goes to Dewsbury.
Given the conditions, Brian, were you pleased with some of the tries that you scored? You know, like the sidestepping, Tom Holmes sidestepping, on a greasy turf.
Well, he must have had Wellingtons on to sidestepping this weather, but he did a good job. You're right. I've got to compliment the ground staff here. You know, the pitch was in miles better condition, and I've known it at this time of year, so that helps you play a little bit of football. But with the conditions in mind, I'm thrilled with what we've dished up, and it looked scruffy at times and was frustrating at times, but you have to look at it in the whole and see what we did right and what we did wrong, and we did more things right than we did wrong.